All right, we're at the fair. We're gonna go check out the gas engine display. I just came to the truck to get a fresh battery. It is so wet here. The parking lots are getting pretty deep, so hopefully you know, it'll dry out a little in the next few days. But at any rate, we're gonna go take a look at the gas engines right after this. All right, welcome back. If you haven't seen my videos before, I'm Ross the Oliver Man, and we're gonna take a look at gas engines. We looked at tractors, now we'll look at engines and see what we can find. So we'll start over here, work our way around the circle. Nice little air-cooled Gade. There's a little, essentially a steam engine. He had it running yesterday. Propane fired boiler now. Pretty neat. And inverted. Hagen. A Rockford. I don't know who is over here, but we'll try to catch that sometime when they've got that uncovered. The order changed up a little bit this year because some of the people didn't come and some different ones showed up, so a little bit different order. That's another one we'll have to catch when it's running, and I'll put it in this video. But you've seen that Mogul before. It's a sweet running engine. He had it at that show in June. It's a little Associated. A big Famous. That was at that show too. Big Waterloo boy. These are kind of neat. It's got a friction drive magneto. Jump over here. Sandwich. There's a little sandwich. Vertical Famous. I always kind of like those. Screen cooled. A Bulldog. I don't know that I've ever seen one quite that big. I've seen some small ones, like horse and a half. That's a 5. Another Vertical Famous. Big Stover. I've got like the next size down from this. Need to put it back together. And of course my junk, which hasn't been run. Well, I did have it running last night. I messed with it in the shade to get a few running. So we might have to try that here in a little bit. Get some of that going. We've got a little Massey Harris made by Cushman, I believe. Maytag. The Massey Harris. Hi. You gonna fire it all up for us?
Well, I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna run. Some of them ain't no help for it.
Yeah, well, it's not when it's 100 degrees. It's better when it's, yeah. All right, let's take a look at this building because my pals have made a line shaft in here that actually operates. And I see somebody has already been in here and jacked it up a little bit, so let's put that back the way it's supposed to be. The problem is leaving stuff unattended, you know? You can't leave it definitely not running unattended because people will do stuff. There we go. So back in the day, this is what you would find in machine shops or factories. You'd have one main power shaft, and then off of that other things would be belt driven, even other shafts to run different machine tools. So this is the first year that we're able to do this, but the plan is that this building now will be, you know, they'll be in charge of it from now on, so they'll be able to add to this and switch it up, put different stuff in here, including possibly running it off a gas engine or having it where we can you know, switch from one to the other. But you know, in the early days it would have been run off steam power or gas engine. They have it here off of electric motor just for ease of use this first time, but the main power comes in and then all the different tools are run off of it. So I'll freeze here if you want to pause on the sign and read it. But they have a basically a corn grinder here, and that's a pretty interesting one if you look at it the way it works. It's got a lot of stuff going on. A nice big hopper. I don't know how much it would hold, but there again, you can pause the video if you want to read the sign. Wooden pulleys, you know, they clamp together. You can see that one on the back wall. So they interlock, and that way you can take them off of the shaft without having to slide it all off the end. And being wood, when you clamp it down, it is tight. I mean, it will stay put. Here we have a whetstone. Did all the water evaporate out? I don't know. And then they put a fan on here for people to walk through, and you know, everybody knows what a fan is. I didn't say anything about the whetstone, but obviously sharpening tools and things, that has water in it, or it's supposed to, and then the stone stays wet the whole time. I'll have to, you know, ask them if they know why it's not. Yeah. Shut that off again. But anyway, so that's pretty neat to add that. And then they put some antiques on the wall, and that thing always lives here, a horse-drawn lawnmower. And then here is their little, what you call a doodle bug, but it's a conversion. This one's actually made from a kit. And you could take an old junkyard Model T and, you know, turn your old junkyard Model T into a little tractor. And they probably weren't great, but they were better than walking. So there you go. Got this old loom in here. Making those rugs. Just some different stuff. And then there's a bunch of models, which they were here last year and we showed them, but some old guy handmade all that stuff. Those little people and everything are carved out of wood, and he made them. And then this guy bought the whole collection, but he's got a little bit of everything, little wagons and everything. Just imagine the time that it took to do that. It's pretty cool. We'll take a look in here at this truck. So that's like a, I think it's a 42 Ford truck. It's a fire truck used in the military. So, built for the U.S. military and stationed at Freeman Field during World War II. And they have it in their museum up there. And they take it in parades locally and different stuff. But one of the things I'd like to find that we had way back in the day, Great-grandpa had a 47 Ford F5 that was blue, and then he traded that in on that red 67 that I've got. So 47 was the last year that had the vertical bar grill, and then the next ones they went to that different style grill. It seems like you see more of those than you do these early ones, but pretty neat. Well, let's see if we can get one to run. I oiled it all up last night and checked everything, so it should just fire right up, right? Huh. We'll see how long it runs. Last year it was acting goofy on me. Oh, it's puking out some stuff here. I turned it up a little faster. They just don't like to idle for a long time. That's what makes it start acting up. I usually run it slower than that, but we'll let it run like this a while. Everybody's always so confused at how they work. They're very simple. Underneath is a gas tank. It sucks the gas up into here, which they call a mixer, but it's essentially like a carburetor, except you have to manually adjust the fuel and choke. And then it just has an atmospheric intake where when the piston goes back, it's got a lighter spring on it and it sucks in some fuel. Does its thing, it fires, the magneto sends a shock up here. It's got an igniter, which is basically like a set of points, and that puts the spark in there, which sets off the charge, and then it runs just like any other gas engine. Oh well, they're all basically the same. There's a little bit of difference between the way they work, but hey, simple things. That was a lot better than cranking something by hand all day, like grinding corn or washing clothes or whatever. A lot easier to just run it with a gas engine. Well, it's another day. It's about 1,000 degrees, but we're gonna go look at that mogul running because he's here today. So we'll throw that in the video. That's a sweet runner, that's for sure. Side shaft. It just runs all day. Yeah, you want to tell us anything about it? It's a pretty faithful runner, it looks like. Oh yeah. You just want to, I mean, you've been coming here for quite a few years. Huh?
Yeah, that engine is 6 horsepower, weighs 2,000 pounds without the pull-in. It's the engine. 1918. They made international made moguls between 1913 and 1919, I believe it was.
And then did they go from that green to like the famous and the red ones, or did they?
They stayed green like that.
And then up until when they started making like the M's and stuff, huh?
Yeah.
So the famous were actually before that, huh?
I think they were, yeah.
I didn't realize that.
But that's about it. They made several different sizes. They had the Mogul Junior, which was a real small little thing. And the women used them mostly.
Washing machines and cream separating type thing.
And the little grain grinders. Yeah.
Where'd you find this one at?
A friend of mine had it.
Was it totally restored, or?
No, it ran good when they got it, but the paint was bad, and it was on a cart with real small wheels. Very hard to move.
Yeah.
Put on larger wheels before I could move it around.
And you go to quite a few shows through the year, don't you, with it?
Not as many as I used to, but yeah, I used to go real often. But since the COVID hit, we slowed down a lot.
Yeah.
We're getting too old too.
Oh well. Well, it's good to see it here because it's a good runner. It runs about all day long with no trouble, doesn't it?
It's up there to run, have to turn it off to go home.
Well, thanks for telling us about it.
You're welcome. I cleaned it up a little bit before I was home. It took on top of that cooler.
Well, we're going to look at this here. Yeah, he can get this for us. He showed me this the other day, and see if you can figure out what this is. Take a good look at it. It looks at first glance like you'd think, oh, it's part of a seed cleaner, you know, or whatever. But when you look at it closer, it's actually what they would use to grade seeds. And you see how the bottom holes are perfectly square, like your little flats would fall through. And then I guess everything else would either lay on top, or the bigger flats would slide out the end. Yeah. It's made out of wood and corrugated metal, and somebody had a machine that stamped perfect holes in it. It even says, what's it say on their planter?
Planter patent, seed corn grading. And I can't make the rest of it out. But
that's pretty cool though. I mean, I don't think I've seen another one of those. And I've got a seed cleaner that's got tons of screens and stuff with it, but I don't know. So you'll have to leave in the comments if you've ever used one or know how this works, because would it have been somehow attached to a seed cleaner, or would it have just been you sit there shaking it and separate it by hand? I kind of feel like that's probably how that went, you know.
My dad telling stories about granddad. He was shelling corn sitting around the stove in the wintertime. So
yeah, I know they'd go through the field and they'd pick out the best ears and throw them in a little box for their seed for the next year, and then during the wintertime sit down there and shell them off and sort it by whatever it is. That would
sit on your lap real well, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you should sit down in the house doing that. But that's something that people don't realize nowadays. I mean, back in the early days, you had to have seed that was consistent because you had to have a plate. I've showed that before on things, but it has to fit in there for you to have a good time planting, or you're gonna have a mess. Now our planters, you can dump in anything you want and it'll plant it no matter what the shape is, but that's pretty cool. So thanks for showing that to us. I also want to give a shout out to this viewer. Somebody came up to me one night here and said, here, my dad watches your videos and he said to give you this. So thank you, viewer. It is another one of those brackets to hold cylinders on one of the fenders of a Fleetline Super or 3-digit. So we've got plenty of those tractors. We can definitely put this to use. So thank you, viewer. I had this running the other night, and of course it is now out of gas. So I think I'm going to put some more gas in and we'll see if we can get it running. I like to listen to it run. It's technically a throttle governed engine because it fires every time. It's got a governor down there and butterfly in the mixer or carburetor, as you want to call it. And so it's a little different sound, but because it hits every time it runs through the gas. So yeah, I got to get that cap off and then we'll put some gas in. The heat makes everything so much more fun. Even getting a gas cap off seems like it's a struggle. Don't know why, but it is. The old timers must have used tiny little gas cans because the openings on a lot of these engines are so small. Let's let the pressure off first. When it overflows, you know you're full. We'll see if it'll just fire right to life. Probably not, because it's hot. There we go. Oh, now don't quit. There. It should keep running because I never moved the fuel adjustment from where I had it. Should have brought me some rags though, because I'm about to sweat through. Very simple. Gas underneath, sucking up into the carburetor, and then it opens the exhaust valve with a push rod, but the intake, the action of the piston going back sucks it open. And then your governor's down there, camshaft gears in the middle, and then your igniter, this one's got a flipper that it hits, it makes it fire, and it fires every single time. If you want to adjust the speed, you can change your speed on the governor a little bit and away it goes. Fairbanks Morse D. That one's actually badged as a Canadian Fairbanks Morse, which I haven't seen many of, so that's kind of neat. Well, I had as many as 3 running, but I don't know. The heat is directly proportional to the amount of fun you're having, and as the temperature goes up, the fun goes down. So, but the old Hercules is hammering away, so good deal. That one's probably just out of gas. Same thing like that Fairbanks, it ran out of gas. So this poor feller back here is actually stuck from sitting in the shed. I filled it with Zep a while ago, so I'm gonna see if that works its magic. I'll probably have to take it off the trailer and stand it on in, take the head off and whatnot, but it's amazing how just sitting there sticks it. So at any rate, that'll be a project for us. And I might have bought another one for a project sometime, so plenty of stuff to work on. I'll get some footage of this stuff running. It wasn't running the other night, but vertical famous. IH like to use fuel pumps and kind of an overflow carburetor setup, so it's always pumping fuel up and then the extra just goes back down to the tank. That way there's always fuel up where you need it. And then people ask about the screen. This type of engine is screen cooled, so it just runs water out across the screen and cools it with the air, and then there you go. Here's that inverted engine running. I don't think it was the other day when we were looking. That's pretty neat. And only one of two in existence. Here's one we didn't get a good look at the other night. A Crosley. I believe that one's British. So that's kind of interesting to see here. Just same idea, slightly different take on some of the way they did the things, but basically the same thing. Pretty neat. Just gonna go back to the pickup, but we'll walk in this building. They've got model trains, and we'll take a look at that. This building has, like, you know, stuff people sewed and house antiques and that kind of thing. And I was looking through here, and my mom won the most outstanding needle art entry, so that's pretty neat. But this is a dying art in here, people making this stuff. It's a shame that, you know, more people aren't continuing the old ways of this, being able to hand make stuff. A big stover. I think that's a W or a Y, I can't remember. If it's an X. Stover X. Anyway, I've got one that style, just a little smaller. Well, I think we're gonna call this one here. I've tried to find enough stuff to make a video, and this second one ended up kind of short, so I tried to go back and add some stuff. This is a lot of fun, but it's also a lot of work, so it's sad that it's over, but it's also finally you're ready for it to be over, you know. We had a good time this week. There's one more day. It'll be all day, and then on Sunday we'll start taking stuff home. So yeah, so I think we'll call this one here. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.